Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Rush Hour podcast. I am Harrison Werner, here with my co-host Dr. Rush. So let's rush into it.
All right, Harrison. I know for you, you've got one more exam left before summer break, and you made time to do episode 12, an even dozen episodes here at Rush Hour podcast. It's been an awesome ride.
Yeah.
But before we take a little break for the summer, we're gonna do one more for the sake of it. We'll cover some topical things, look ahead, and then we've got some good questions, and I think you'll appreciate the homework assignment as well. So let's start with the NBA Finals, which of course are full throttle, full bore, lots of crazy action, overtimes. I mean, it is exactly what you want in terms of the conference finals, and fire away.
I mean, just the Spurs series with OKC. I've watched a lot of basketball for my age, and in the past few years, I don't think I've really seen a better first two games to a series. I mean, the OKC's arena is electric, and even without Dylan Harper missed the whole fourth quarter last night, and De'Aaron Fox, their starting point guard, wasn't playing either. So, I mean, I'll be surprised if it doesn't go to 7. And when it goes to 7, it's going to be really weird to see either Victor Wembanyama or Shea get knocked off.
Yeah.
So I personally think that the Spurs are going to win. And I don't know. I just think Wemby's unstoppable. And I think he's 22 or 21. And Jordan didn't win his first ring until he's 27. And, I mean, if he makes it to the finals, I don't know how he's not the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny when we started talking about NBA playoffs several episodes ago, and we talked about this clash of the Titans, particularly in the West, was inevitable, and that's where it is. I think I would have said, and maybe I did say, that I thought the Thunder were the team, but just watching the first couple of games, there's something about San Antonio. I don't know. It's a swagger that they didn't have maybe a month ago. Not to say that they weren't talented, but they just have a different feel, and that's to take nothing away from the Thunder.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. Actually, it would be a disservice to the fans if this thing doesn't go to 7. So that'll be fun. And then, I mean, on the other side of the ledger, Cleveland's there's always the other issues, but the Knicks, even as our good friend Stephen A. Smith predicted long ago that he thought the Knicks would make the finals. They look pretty tough. I'm surprised.
Stephen A, Stephen B, Stephen C. But I don't know. I think the East is definitely not what the West is going to be. It could go to 7. I would not be surprised if it goes to 7. The Cavs it's James Harden, I think. So whenever you have James Harden on your playoff team, it's really hard to make it to the championship. And no disservice to the Knicks, but they have not played anyone. But, I mean, they've played the 6th seed Hawks, who got hot at the end of the season, but they were the 10th seed coming out of the All-Star break. You played the Sixers with arguably, I don't know really if Embiid was fully healthy.
Right.
And you played now the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are not a bad team, but it's really hard to win when James Harden's on your team, especially in the playoffs.
True.
But I could definitely see the Cleveland going all the way. So I have Cleveland and San Antonio in my finals, and I have San Antonio in 5 or 6.
I'll just to be the contrarian. I'll because I think it's possible. I think I'll go Thunder Knicks.
Okay.
Yeah, Thunder Knicks.
Because I think Cleveland matches up great with San Antonio. Mobley and they have those 2 7-footers down low, Mobley and Allen, and so that's really what you're going to need if you have a chance to stop Wemby. So if you have 2 7-footers down low, I think it's not going to be hard on Wemby, but it's going to be harder than it is going against 1 7-footer, of course. So I think Cleveland matches up perfect with San Antonio.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed for me, Harrison, is when we talked about this months ago, is the winner's coming out of the West. And because I am choosing the Thunder to move on, I'm going with the Thunder no matter who they play, whether that's the Knicks or the Cavs.
Yeah, I think this is really the NBA championship series for sure.
I agree. All right, so let's stick with basketball, and you've got an interesting segment here. So fire away. Let's go.
All right, so I'm gonna be trying to personally. They just got their new GM, and I think was it yesterday or 2 days ago they fired Jason Kidd.
That's right.
So I think if I'm the GM, even though he had very high praise about Kyrie, I think you got to trade Kyrie. He's 34, coming off a torn ACL, making about $40 million a year. In my opinion, the Mavs' top three players, their top three salaries, they're 34, 34, and 36. Middleton, Irving, and Klay Thompson. So that's not great, especially when none of those three of the guys are even top three on your team. Kyrie didn't play this season. So I'm getting rid of Kyrie. And if I was the Mavs, I'd try and get a solid, I'd say younger guard, or maybe picks, what you want. Waive Chris Middleton, and I would trade or waive Klay Thompson as well. You just need to dump that salary. And while this cap space, I'd try and get a guy like Norman Powell, who's I think made the All-Star, one of the All-Star teams, or was close to making it, and I think he's been really solid this year. So I think Norman Powell is actually a great fit for them. Very underrated. And Hartenstein, too, from OKC. OKC's not going to re-sign him. They're gonna have to be, dumping some salary too.
Right.
So I would try and go after another big man. Porzingis is also not going to re-sign. So if you can get Hartenstein or Porzingis, and if you get one of those guys, I would try and trade Lively, who's very prone to injury. And I just don't like how he plays with Cooper Flag. And so, if you can get even just picks for those guys, that's the best thing that I would try and do. And if in the draft, I would try and get a guard, because the big man that they already have with Daniel Gafford, who just re-signed 4 years, or extended 4 years. I think they're great on the big man. And Cooper Flag can really play the four really well. Kind of reminds me of how Tatum plays. So I'd try and draft the Keaton Wagler or Mikael Brown Jr. to work around Flag. And this whole rebuild, this whole thing, you're working around Cooper Flag. And in my opinion, this is a little sneaky one for the coach. The assistant coach for the Spurs was with their final run in 2024. He was with them for about 4 years. Or John Shire from Duke to reunite with Cooper Flag.
Ooh.
So that's I think what could happen. And going into next season, if your starting lineup, you can have Mikael Brown Jr., Max Christie, Najee Marshall, Cooper Flag, and Daniel Gafford. And you have off the bench Nembhard, Brandon Williams, Caleb Martin, P.J. Washington, Isaiah Hartenstein. That's a great team, especially from being one of the worst teams in the league this year. I think that's easily a playoff team.
It's hard to argue. Harrison, I think you did a masterful job there of basically telling Ujiri what to do with the squad.
That's a fantasy land too.
But no, I think it's. You did a thoughtful analysis, not just with salary cap and salary issues and age and injuries and all the stuff that's known, but also kind of a team concept. And so for me, I don't have that level of depth in terms of my analysis. But number one, you get a new coach. That's no disrespect to Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
But if you're starting over, a new president, kind of new attitude, you basically have a centerpiece that you referenced in Cooper Flag.
New identity.
What do you build around him? If he's the centerpiece, what do you build around him? And I think you're bold, and it'll be really interesting to see what the management does. Are they going to be bold and get rid of guys that are good but have a lot of money tied to them, Kyrie, et cetera, Middleton, et cetera? Or do they say, we're going to keep Gafford, and we're going to keep Lively and Flag and Kyrie, and sort of keep a nucleus, so you got a little balance?
Yeah.
But the problem is, to me, the equation is new coach plus a new team approach and stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
They have a lot of talent. They've had talent. Some just got hurt.
Injuries.
So you've got, do you want to go the age thing? Do you want to factor in health?
Yeah.
And then the biggest question is, given the angst in Dallas about the need to compete sooner versus later in an already super competitive Western Conference, your concept is like maybe build for the next 2 or 3 years. Some people will say, well, we can win now. And I don't think you can go like, we're going to be in the Western Conference Finals in 3 or 4 years. I don't think the Dallas fan base will be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, in my opinion, when you're trading these older guys, the teams, you know, might not want to give up their younger guys. And I'm not saying that having Kyrie and Middleton and Clay on your team is a disadvantage. I mean, Clay's 36, so that it's good to have some experience. He's won multiple titles. But I just think I was expecting Clay to be gone by the trade deadline, and Middleton's making about $30 million a year. So, I mean, I'd be very, very shocked if they don't waive him. So I agree. I think in my opinion, you know, Mavs fans might not like it, but I think it's building for the future. I just don't think they have the team, like, win now. Like, you know, the Celtics, in my opinion, they have, like, the win now team. They have Cooper Flag, who's 19, or 20. I think you build for the next few years.
I think your concept is exciting, and I think Dallas fans can get around if they see all the pieces. They can understand the money thing. They can understand the potential injury thing, and get them excited about basketball again in Dallas. So I think that'll be huge.
For sure, yeah.
All right, so final homework assignment. Let's call it the exam.
All right.
Because, you know, it is that time in your life. So, Harrison, I've got 4 quick ones for you. I'm not going to and I chose 4 because with our last episode, I figured we'd do kind of something from each of the major 4 sports.
Okay.
So I got one for you. The first one is NBA. This player averaged 48.5 minutes per game. Now you're looking at me crazy. Like,
Wilt Chamberlain?
It is Wilt Chamberlain.
He played overtime, right?
He played all the minutes in regular, and so he averaged more minutes per game than there are minutes in a game.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. All right, only NFL team to neither host nor play in a Super Bowl.
Detroit?
Detroit has hosted, but they've never been, so no. Great guess.
Cleveland.
Cleveland is the answer. Never been, never hosted. The other 2, Houston has hosted, but never been. Jacksonville hosted, never been. Fantastic, Harrison.
28-3 comeback.
You're doing great, man. Mom and Dad would be proud that maybe the history exam is not going to turn out like you wanted to, but just playing. All right, here's a good one. Only one person struck out Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth in the same game. By the way, this one's impossible because it was in an exhibition game.
I have zero idea.
Her name is Jackie Mitchell. 17-year-old Jackie Mitchell struck out Gehrig and Ruth in an exhibition game. Crazy. That's a crazy thing. And then finally, once upon a time when we talked about GOATs, you talked about Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a Wayne Gretzky-related question. He had, in his career, 85 times he had a 5-point game, and you know you get a point for either a goal or assist. So 85 times he had a 5-point game. How many games in his career did he have a 0-point game?
I know he had less. I know he had less 0 point. I know he had more 5-point games.
That's correct.
0.
Which is really the crazy thing.
Yeah. You said 84?
85. 5-point games, yep.
42.
He had 74. 0.
Wow.
But you were right, it's less. That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy stat.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so hot takes. As we move into hot takes, I'll start. So recently I went to the Cubs-Rangers game. I'm a big Cubs fan. Also love the Rangers. A lot of red, white, and blue, of course. So I was happy no matter what. But I was with some of my buddies. I took my family, and I was with one of my best friends, and we noticed clearly there were a lot of people with their Cubs jerseys on from all kinds of eras, right? Random players. I mean, all kinds. Cubs are a very old franchise. And you even had, your Rangers fans with all kinds of players that are obscure or recent or whatever. But we got to see people that had, like, New York Yankees jersey on, or some guy was wearing a San Diego Padres jersey. And I got into this discussion with my friend about, like when you go to a Major League Baseball game, should you wear some jersey that's not associated with one of the teams that's playing? Now, keep in mind, it's not an all-star game. And I don't mean, for example, let's take one of your favorite players used to be on the Padres and now is on the Rangers. To me, that's okay because you're actually cheering for that player, not the team. So discount those. I'm wondering, Harrison, if you went to a Cowboys-Eagles game here in Dallas, would you wear your Patriots jersey?
No, never. I would probably just wear a regular uniform. But I have to say, I went to a Duke Elite Eight game against, I forget the team. They were playing DJ Burns. NC State.
Okay.
And I was wearing my Jason Tatum Celtics jersey.
Okay.
So, would you say that is not allowed? He played for Duke, okay, but I was wearing a Celtics jersey, but he was not on the Duke team at that point. Obviously.
No, I mean I think because that's a player. I'm cool with that.
But yeah, I agree. You shouldn't go to a you shouldn't go to a Patriots Eagles game wearing Dan Marino jersey.
Yeah, that's no, that's not the.
They're just there to chill and look at the views at that point.
Maybe the only asterisk on this I would say is I've been fortunate to go to a Super Bowl. I know you have too. And you see, obviously, the two teams that are represented. But you do see a lot of other NFL jerseys. And I'm okay with that because it's kind of the culminating game of,
everyone.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's certain games like the All-Star game you said. But I don't, like a regular season game or a playoff game,
I don't need to see your Aaron Judge jersey at a Cubs-Rangers game.
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. Go home. So, all right, what do you got?
All right, so I'm going to start my first one. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, will go down as a top 7 most dominating duo ever.
And how are you quantifying that?
Well, I think, they're both below 30. I think 27, 28 or 29, 28. And I think so far since they've been playing, there was some stat, but as a duo, I think it's the points they've had or something like that. They've already won a chip, and it's not like, and of course one of them won the Finals MVP. They've already won a chip. Almost they've made it to the playoffs, and I feel like they've made a deep run usually. Of course this year, no. Last year, it's a torn Achilles, second round, but I've never seen them getting swept in the first round. Of course this year's a bad year, but I think that if they continue this, I don't even know if they're in their prime yet. I mean, they're edging towards it, but I really do think that them two together, they're just so hard to stop, in my opinion.
I like it.
When they're playing, when they're both 100%.
It'll be fun to watch the next couple of years and see if your hot take comes to fruition.
Well, we don't know if they'll be on the same team.
We don't know.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
We don't know.
All right, you got your second one?
My second one is I'm looking ahead because I'm already excited about the NFL season. The number 2 seed in the NFC this past year was the Chicago Bears. My hot take is I don't think they did enough in the draft. I don't think they did enough in free agency. And I don't think the Chicago Bears make the playoffs this year.
Make the playoffs. They did lose DJ Moore. Okay.
Lost their center. And you just don't roll in like he retired, right? That's hard to replace.
That is. Didn't make the playoffs?
Don't make the playoffs. I still think the Lions are tough. I still think the Packers are tough. That's all in division. Cowboys, you could say, got better. Certainly the Giants are way better. Eagles are, I don't know if they're better, but they're still good, right? And then you've got the Rams. I mean, you've got a lot of teams that Seattle, I think, will regress.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to, I think the Bears, they've one of the hardest schedules. Yeah.
That's my hot take here in May.
I could I could definitely see that.
We'll see. I'm just going early.
Season 2. We'll run it.
Let's go. So next school year, when whatever the Bears do, if they don't make the playoffs, you owe me a take-in lunch and vice versa.
All right.
All right, we're down? Okay,
Sounds good. Yes.
All right, what else you got?
All right. Last one for me. I don't know if this is a hot take, honestly. I mean, in my opinion, it's not a hot take, but I think March Madness is the best playoff format in any sport, and it's not close.
My only pushback, and I'm acknowledging my bias as a baseball guy, I love college baseball when you have a similar sort of format where you have regionals, and then you have super regionals, and then you have Omaha. And it's real baseball and all the things, and the colleges are, all the people are there. It's probably similar in some ways, but I prefer baseball just a little bit, college baseball.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good. We should take some sort of poll.
Yeah.
In the fall next year with the 7th and 8th graders, see what they say.
I would say the only negative about March Madness, in my opinion, is you saw it with AJ DeBanza. I mean, if he really was really playing, I think he could have gone further. Darren Peterson, same thing. I think the guys that are obviously Cam Boozer, not really, but the guys that are even the number one and those guys, they could really put on a show, but I think they decide, what's the point? I'm gonna go anyways. And I think the only bad thing is it doesn't really mess your draft stock up too much, unless if I think if AJ DeBanza lost in the second round or first round this year, it'd be a shock, but I really think he would still be going 1 or 2. So, I mean, but that also opens up the doors for the those March Madness legends that no one has heard of, the 16 seeds. Those are my favorite about that.
And I think it's because it's such that Madness is kind of condensed in time, and it has such a great presence with TV. I think more people watch it than baseball anyway. So it's hard to disagree, but
no, I for sure. I think hockey playoffs is fun too. But the only reason that I'm not saying that is because March Madness is win or go home. Football, NFL is win or go home, and in the NBA, it's you get at max 7 games to play.
Right. With pro sports, though, typically the majority of the roster returns, whereas college, especially these days, it's kind of one and hope, and then everything changes.
That's true.
All right, so last couple segments here before we sign off. Fire away. I love your concepts here, Harrison. Tell the audience what you got.
So we got a what if. We're going to get some what if players, the biggest what if, or it doesn't have to be a player, a moment or something, and a legacy game or a one-hit wonder player that, maybe even had a one good season, never played again or never did anything, or had one big moment. And then we're going to end it with creating our own sports player. I think I have 2, you have 2, and trying at that sport. So let's go. You want to go what ifs first?
Let's go what ifs. Let me do 3. I'll go fairly quickly in the interest of time. 1, I'm not saying this because you're my co-host, Len Bias.
That was on mine.
Len Bias. I mean,
that was on mine.
So much promise, and obviously everyone knows what happened, so that's a question. From a team standpoint, 1994 Montreal Expos, it's a what if because they were the best team in Major League Baseball. There was a strike. The end of the season never happened. And actually, you fast forward a few years later, Montreal is no longer a franchise. They moved to Washington, became the Nationals. And so I wonder if there wasn't a strike and they had won the World Series, which they conceivably would have done, would there still be baseball in Montreal?
I mean, that's...
And my third one is somebody we've talked about before, Bo Jackson. I wonder if Bo Jackson never got, injured in the game where he basically destroyed his hip. How great a player would he have been in potentially both Major League Baseball and the NFL?
That's the perfect fit. I mean, real quick about the Len Bias, that was on mine too. Got drafted in 87 or 86. Celtics, arguably, that's one of the top 5 teams
Dynasty,
of all time.
Yep.
Like the 86 Celtics with Bird, all that. So, I mean, you had Len Bias, who was supposed to be the
Michael
next
Jordan-esque,
Michael Jordan.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean that's a great one. I got 3. Actually, I got 4. I got 4 really quick. All right. What if Tom Brady never replaced Drew Bledsoe? Or what if Drew Bledsoe never got injured?
Right.
I mean, you know.
It's the Wally Pip, Lou Gehrig concept right there.
I mean, if Drew Bledsoe got hit the next play and Tom Brady,
you're in.
Yeah, Tom Brady gets in a play after, and he never has that, and it just that's crazy. And then obviously, a guy that obviously was not a great guy, but I liked watching him. I wasn't alive, but I liked watching how he played. What if Aaron Hernandez never threw away his career?
Yeah.
I mean, he was with Rob Gronkowski. It could have been a great deal. And 2 more. What if Derrick Rose never got injured? He's the youngest MVP ever. And he was supposed to be, I mean, he could have been the second bull,
It's a good one.
Finally, what if Kobe Bryant and Shaq stayed together longer?
Ooh.
Because Kobe told the world in one of his interviews, if Shaq had like my mentality, he'd be the greatest player of all time, which is really hard to argue. I mean, he was out of shape, and that's just, it's really hard to argue against that. But yeah,
those are good ones. Mm-hmm. Those are good ones. All right, so you talked about one-hit wonder, legacy game. I think about, and this is not intentionally to dig on the Cowboys as an Eagles fan, but I think about a guy like James Washington who had a Super Bowl and that he was the MVP of the Super Bowl the last time the Cowboys won. Mm-hmm. His career was fine, but defined clearly by the fumble return for a touchdown, and he just had a dominant defensive performance in that game, and he was a fine defensive player, but that was like, particularly because that's the last time the Cowboys won, that's one that pops to mind.
All right, I got, don't love to say it, but manly enough to say it, David Tyree. Where would he really be if it was not for the helmet catch? That's in all of Boston sports, that's probably one of the most crushing plays, but you redeem it with Malcolm Butler having probably one of the greatest Super Bowl plays of all time. 1 yard goal line interception when you have not the greatest, you have the best running back in the league.
For sure.
Right there. So
Beast mode.
Yeah. And then finally, your boy Nick Foles.
Good one. It's a good one.
Took over Carson Wentz,
That's right. That's right.
Carson Wentz was one of the, if not the best quarterback in the league around that time.
Yeah, he was definitely MVP type. Nick
Foles took them, won the Super Bowl, Philly special. That's just, it pains for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
there's that's such a great question. We should probably come back to that when we have a guest and get their take on that.
All right, so you so you have 2 players.
Yeah, build the perfect player. I chose an MLB, Major League Baseball guy. I'm going to start with almost a perfect specimen, which is Shohei. And, obviously somebody who has speed, he has a power, he has a great arm. Yes, he can pitch. If there's any knock on him, he doesn't hit for average. He's not a 300, 350 type hitter. And I'll acknowledge my bias as an old school baseball guy. Tony Gwynn, a George Brett, a guy who's going to hit 330, 340, 350, not strike out a lot. Shohei, I know it's the time and the age and the decade, but last year struck out 187 times. In the 1980s and 1990s, when I was watching baseball all the time, if you struck out 180 times, you were not a good player. You're probably going to AAA. Because you just didn't make contact. But Shohei is just
that would never happen for Shohei.
He's just such a perfect specimen.
Yeah.
And if I could tweak in some way, I would add a little bit more, maybe plate discipline and sacrifice a few home runs. I'd rather him hit 40 home runs and hit 340 versus 55 home runs and hit 290.
So yeah, I like what you did. I'm gonna kind of do the same thing, but a little more tweaking. I picked a quarterback and then an NBA player, but for my quarterback, I'm going to pick the greatest of all time, of course, Tom Brady. But if I could make any few adjustments, it'd be, I'd say, like his explosiveness, like the explosiveness he has. I mean, obviously his speed, Lamar Jackson, and if he could have that explosiveness of like what Cam Newton had,
right?
That's honestly what I don't think the build is a big issue. I mean, Josh Allen has an amazing build, 6'5", 240. But, I mean, Brady is skinnier but still decently tall. I mean, there's not much to adjust for Brady. He fills almost everything besides, speed, maybe arm power. But he has the best pocket presence, arguably the best IQ, accuracy. I mean, he's the whole package.
Yeah, so my second one is a golfer, and my prototype, obviously I start with somebody like Tiger. But there are certain things I don't love about Tiger. Mm-hmm. And then as I thought about it, one of the reasons you fall in love with a player, whatever the sport is, but in this particular case, golf is like, it's all of the things, right? So Tiger, when he was at his peak, was kind of a jerk. Like he didn't smile. He was kind of robotic. It was like, and yes, that's what made him fierce and great as a competitor. But I wish he had a little more humility, like take Aaron Rai, who just won the PGA, or Justin Thomas, who kind of laughs at himself or is self-deprecating, but not in a wasn't cursing or that kind of thing. Okay. So a little more humility and a little more likability. And then it made me think of somebody like Belichick, who's like, obviously a great coach and all the things, but hey, Bill, you just won your 57th Super Bowl. Yeah, we're going to go back to work tomorrow, and I'm not going to celebrate because we have to work.
We have Cincy week 1.
Yeah, it's like come on, man, you just won the Super Bowl.
Like, live life.
Or you just won the Masters for the 55th time or whatever. So anyway, there are things about putting and power and all that stuff I put together in my head, like who's the best putter, who's the best driver. It's just hard to argue Tiger as a prototype and then tweak from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NBA is probably like perfect to build one of those athletes because there's so many aspects of the game. Obviously, build, I think most people would say Wembanyama. That's obviously who I went.
Put a little more meat on him, but yeah.
Yeah, put a little more. I'd love Jokic's passing and Steph's shooting. I think, in my opinion, I don't know if other people would like it, but I'd want like the energy or his mindset. I'd like Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Like it's like a.
But you don't want necessarily the antics.
The antics, no. But he's not rude, but he's just like disturber and likes to stir up the pot, and you don't like him if he's not on your team. Yeah. So that's personally, if you have the greatest player of all time, that's pretty hard to argue. People might not call him that because they don't like him, but
right.
And then dunking, like I think Sean Kemp in Victor Wembanyama's body would be. There's no one that would ever be able to block him.
Yeah, that's a good call right there.
That's who I have.
I like it. Well, Harrison, it's been a fun ride this semester. 12 episodes. Really appreciate you making this happen, and it's been an absolute joy and pleasure. Hopefully we get to continue next fall. Yeah. Maybe some tweaks, some new music, some new guests, all the things.
We might have some more episodes next year. We started like January this year.
Exactly. So we'll see. And so my gratitude to you, and thank you to all the guests. Thank you to all the listeners.
Yes, Season 1.
Season 1
in the books.
Is in the books. We'll see you next fall.